Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's video. We're going to be talking about my top 12 purchases from Sephora this year. I recently saw Samantha March and Andrea Mattiliano do a collab regarding this topic, and I know Andrea did this video last year and I thought it was such a fun idea. Now of course I have tons and tons of favorites from this year, but I specifically looked at everything that I purchased, whether it be online or in store at Sephora in the year of 2020, and I picked out my 12 favorite makeup products that I purchased this year. If I tried it to include like skincare, I was just like getting too overwhelmed with picking favorites, because truly I feel like I tried so many products this year that I really did love. So I had to narrow it down to 12 makeup specific products. So if you guys are interested in seeing what 12 products those are, stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel, I would love if you would consider subscribing before moving on. I am posting every single day throughout the month of December. I love to chit chat about makeup. I love project panning videos, and I very specifically am just like a die-hard eyeshadow palette fan. So if any of those things interest you, I would love if you would subscribe. And other than that, let's just jump into the video. Today's drink of the day is Fresca. It's been a little bit since I've had Fresca, so cheers. Okay, I have no specific order that I'm going to be going in. Like, it's not like the first product I talk about is my like favorite. I just have my basket of things in front of me and we're gonna go through everything. So while I say I have 10 products, or 12 products, I'm gonna be showing you a few more than 12. So this will be the first example of what I mean. One of my favorite purchases or finds this year were the Rowan Quads, and I couldn't necessarily narrow it down to like one over the other, although I do believe I prefer the 1111 quad, which looks like this, just because I've been really into kind of purples and mauves at this moment. But I also love the 75 degree quad because it's a really beautiful just neutral quad. I absolutely adore these palettes. The texture of these are unlike any other eyeshadow or formula that I've used in the past, and I just think that these are really fun and unique. I definitely will be interested to see if they release more shades. They do have one other palette, but it's very cool toned, and I don't feel like I would get a ton of use out of it, so I haven't purchased that one yet. But I really have enjoyed the Rowan Quads, and I'm really happy that I decided to pick these up this year. My makeup preferences definitely changed pretty significantly this year. In the past, I was never really a cream and liquid product type of a gal, especially when it came to products such as bronzer, blush, and highlight. But boy, oh boy, did that change this year. In a few of my favorite finds this year, this is another like kind of cheating because I'm counting these two as one, but obviously they're two separate products. The Charlotte Tilbury wands. Now I had purchased the Glowgasm Peach wand last year, but this year I purchased the contour wand. This is my most recent addition to my makeup collection in terms of the Charlotte Tilbury wands, and I've been a big fan of the contour wand. And then also the highlighter in Pillow Talk I have loved. I'm really interested in picking up Spotlight for the highlight, and then Pinkgasm for like kind of like the blush topper next. I'm a huge fan of these wands. I think that they are messy but pretty easy to use even if you are a beginner, so I do recommend these. I know they're expensive, but I think they're a great product. Also, another kind of cream, but cream and powder product, and again I'm kind of cheating because I have two of them. These are the Patrick Ta blush duos, and I have mine in the shade She's So LA, which is the bronzy one. I love a good bronzy blush, and I think this one is absolutely beautiful. And then I also really like a coral blush, especially in the summertime, so I also picked up Do We Know Her, which looks like this. So gorgeous. So with these blushes, you're actually supposed to lay the powder down first and then put the cream on top, and I was really skeptical about that at first because it's like it just goes against like any rules you've ever heard about makeup, at least in my opinion. But what I love about these is when you do that, it sort of preserves the sheen that you get from a cream blush, but I do feel like it makes the blush last a longer amount of time. So I've been a huge fan of these. I would even consider purchasing more shades in this because I have been just such a fan. A cream bronzer I'm so glad that I decided to pick up this year is the Huda Beauty Tan Tour. I feel like I had heard so many great things about this, and it took me forever to kind of bite the bullet and finally buy this. But what I love about this product is that it's a little bit more full coverage than you get from your typical cream or liquid bronzer. I feel like a lot of times with cream and liquid products, the products tend to be a little bit more sheer just because of the way that you blend them out. But this, you're getting some good coverage. So if you wanted to go for like a full glam look, but you still wanted to use the majority of your products cream and liquid rather than powder, I feel like you can definitely achieve that with this. I personally have mine in the shade Fair, and again, I've been a huge fan of this one. I also couldn't not mention the RMS quad, the Living Luminizer quad. I just have the mini. I got this for 25 bucks, which I thought was a really good deal. And if/when I go through the product inside of this, I definitely would purchase the larger $48 version of this because I love these so much. My favorite products in this palette are these two highlighters, but I do still like the bronzer as well as this more sheer kind of glossy. It's not going to show up basically as anything when you swatch it, but it's just this really beautiful sheer glossy sort of highlight. I absolutely adore these two highlights for just the most beautiful lit from within highlight. I definitely have preferred a less intense highlight this year, and this has probably been the highlighter product that I have reached for the most this year in terms of my entire collection, both cream and liquid and powder. So this was an amazing find this year. And then the last cream product find this year that I was so happy about were these duos from Kosas. So I have 3 of the cream duos. So I have Tropic Equinox, which is one of my favorites. Again, just a very neutral sort of bronzy blush sort of look. So an absolute staple for me. I also have, this is my powder one. Still recommend the powders, but I definitely preferred the creams. I have Velvet Melon. Again, I love me a good coral blush, and I really like the highlights with these as well. Again, gives you a really beautiful lit from within, subtle but still there sort of highlighted effect. And then most recently, I have this one in the shade 8th Muse, which is one of the more intense, or it's considered to be one of their like intense shade, I don't know what I'm trying to say. They have like regular and then they have intense shades, and the intense shades are if you have a deeper skin tone. But I thought that this would be really beautiful sheared out, and I've been a big fan of this one as well. Highly recommend Kosas as a brand. They have been one of my favorite brand finds of this year, and I was super impressed and very happy with these duos. I tried a ton of foundation this year, a ton that I liked. But the one that I purchased from Sephora and I loved the most was the Giorgio Armani Neo Nude Foundation. This is so beautiful. If you like a medium coverage foundation that just has like a natural finish, maybe like a hint of a glow, but more of just like a healthy skin glow rather than like a really dewy glow. I am so happy that I picked this up. I sort of picked this up on a whim. I always say that whenever I talk about this product. I picked it up on a whim and just fell in love. So this was definitely one of my favorite purchases from Sephora this year. This one I purchased at really towards the beginning of the year, and this one was one that I purchased kind of on a whim as well. This is limited edition. I don't know if you can get this anymore. I know I saw it on sale, but again, I don't know if it's still available. This is the NARS Overlust Cheek Palette, and the reason I loved this one so much, or wanted to purchase this one and now do love it so much, is because the blush shades are a lot more neutral than you're oftentimes getting in a NARS palette. You're not getting the shade Orgasm, which is really exciting because I feel like every single NARS product that comes out has Orgasm, and it's like, okay, I have this in a million other things. And then the texture of the highlights is more like a Super Shock shadow, and it's a little bit more subtle, which again, I've been opting for a more subtle highlighter. I've really enjoyed topping these on top of a cream or liquid highlight, and it just gives the most beautiful sort of glossy highlight effect to the skin. And I've been a huge fan of this palette. Again, so happy that I decided to just pick this up on a whim, and it definitely turned into one of my favorite purchases of the year from Sephora. Speaking of Kosas, another favorite purchase of this year was the Kosas Revealer Concealer. This is amazing. It reminds me a lot of the Laura Mercier concealer, but it definitely has more coverage than the Laura Mercier concealer, but it's still super lightweight and feels very hydrating underneath the eyes. I didn't feel like I was very picky about concealers until I've come to like see myself like really preferring specific things in my concealer, or really not liking certain concealers and then really loving other concealers. I feel like I'm really not making sense with what I'm saying, but this has become my favorite concealer. I believe it's this. I really like the Hourglass one, but that wouldn't be like a day-to-day. This and the Huda Beauty concealer, like tippy top favorites currently in my collection. I'm so glad that I bought this. This is going to be my new staple concealer. I will continue to repurchase this because I think that this is such a good product. Definitely a favorite purchase. This is another recent purchase of mine, but it's the Charlotte Tilbury Bronze and Glow Mini. And I wanted to like this, but a part of me didn't want to love this because a full size of this is $68. But this bronzer and this highlight are so good. The highlight is definitely a little bit more subtle, which again, I've really been preferring that more subtle highlight. And what I love about this bronzer shade on me is that it is a really neutral shade. It doesn't lean too warm. It doesn't lean too cool. So I can kind of use it. I know that bronzing and contouring are two separate things, but I can kind of use it as like a bronzer contour. And I know some people get really mad at the thought of bronzer contour because they're not the same thing, but I just really like that it's more of a neutral shade, and I have been reaching for this non-stop since I purchased this. And even looking at everything I purchased, and I know this is a newer purchase, I can already tell this is an absolute favorite purchase of the year. And then the 12th and final favorite purchase of the year. There are so many lip products I found this year and loved. The Kosas lip oils, the Lila B lip oils, but these I love the most because they're the cheapest. They're $14, and there are so many fun shades in the range. So they originally launched with these plus I think one other shade. It's more of like a fuchsia purple. I love all of these for like different purposes. So you have your clear gloss if you just want a clear gloss. This is really nice. What I love about this formula is it's not sticky at all. It's like the least sticky formula ever. It's amazing. I also really loved the shade Fire for the summertime. It's this really beautiful orange shade, and it was sheer enough that it wasn't like obnoxious, but it also had enough opacity or enough pigment that like you could still tell like she has some orange on her lips. I also picked up the shade Spicy, which is a really beautiful red, as well as XOXO, which is a little bit more pink toned. And then I have 3 of their newer shades from their most recent launch. I have Oat, Cashew, and Coconut. I talk about these all the time on my channel, so I don't want to like drone on because I feel like I'm really just repeating myself at this point, but I absolutely love these. I feel like there's a shade in the range for everybody, and I highly recommend these from Tower 28. One of my favorite purchases of the year. Not even just Sephora purchases. Those are definitely one of my favorite purchases of the year. And after that, that is everything in my basket in front of me. Those are my 12 favorite Sephora purchases of 2020. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments below. What are some of your favorite makeup purchases of the year? Doesn't even necessarily have to be from Sephora. I would just love to know what you bought and what you loved this year. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch today's video. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in tomorrow's video. Bye.